What's up, y'all? So today I'm gonna talk to y'all about 5 tips how to catch more fish. This is a video that I put in a lot of thought, a lot of time, and this is a video that I wish someone could tell me these things when I was getting into fishing that would have made me exponentially that much more successful in the water, would have saved me arguments, saved me hundreds if not thousands of dollars, frustration, and I just wish that I would have had these tips, these tools when I was getting into fishing. So I figured I would share them with y'all. Okay, so tip number 1 is probably the single most important thing that has allowed me to be consistently successful fishing. I wish someone had told me how important and how powerful networking is with fishing. It sounds so simple, but y'all, this is a very, very tangible tip that will instantly make you exponentially more successful out there on the water. I say to be successful at fishing, consistently successful in fishing and multi-species fishing like what Kristi and I do, networking. I start every fishing trip when Kristi and I travel at a tackle shop. I go into the tackle shop, and Kristi, she knows the drill. We both go in there, we just, you know, go up and talk to either the manager or whoever's like the most knowledgeable, talk fishing. But what we get is we get extremely valuable fishing tips and insight. So if I'm going to Myrtle Beach next week, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna research the legit local tackle shops in that area. I'm gonna read fishing reports. And then when I go to that tackle shop and I start talking to them, I'm gonna sound intelligent. So that way I kind of sound a little bit more like a local. I don't just sound like some jabroni going in there saying, hey, can you tell me where to catch the fish? You know, you go in there and you talk to them, maybe start talking to them about sports, you know, just shoot up a conversation, whatever. And as you get to talking and they're enjoying talking to you, then they're gonna give you that much more information. So you guys, I wish I would have known the power of networking and fishing before I started this channel, because it is, I cannot overstate. If you guys, you're not really good at talking to new people, get over that fear. Just, I know tackle shops can be intimidating, but you guys, you have to go in there and you have to talk to people. That's tip number 1, network. Tip number 2, I'm a millennial and I love being in this generation because everything's so easy. So tip number 2, use your phone, use technology, use that to your benefit. Let's say I'm going to Myrtle Beach next week to go on a fishing trip, which I'm not, but I wish that I was. So if it's next week, I'm gonna spend the next 5 days on my phone on Google Earth, and I'm gonna be mapping out spots. I'm gonna be pinpointing spots, dropping pins on places, on topography, contours, tidal breaks, ambush points, marsh grass areas, areas that I feel confident off of Google Maps that will hold fish. You can see right here, I'm gonna show you guys some images on a computer screen of what I look for when I go to a new fishing location. You know, riprap, some rocks, trees, you know, again, just the topography. You can see deep water to shallow water. And those are things that Google Maps will obviously show you guys. So as you guys can see right here, when I go to a new fishing location, my Google Maps, when I'm showing somebody like directions and they're looking at my Google Maps, they're like, dude, this is crazy. You have like these yellow dots everywhere. That's because when I'm going to a new fishing location that I haven't ever been there before, 5 days before me going there, I already have like 10 to 15 spots that I've pinned on my Google Earth of where I think are gonna hold fish. So going back to tip number 1 of networking, when I go into the tackle shop and I pull out my phone and I say, hey, what do you think about this spot or this spot? Then they're more than likely gonna take your phone from you and they're going to pin specific spots for y'all. So going off of also with tip number 2, check charter captains in that area, check their Instagram, check their social media, check the tackle shop's Facebook, check the fishing reports. If you can't, here's a really important tip that I wish someone had told me a really long time ago. If you can't find relevant fishing reports, like right now we've had Hurricane Florence and it's jacked up the fisheries. So when I'm trying to locate fishing reports for certain areas, you can't find them. So you know what I do? I go on a tackle shop or a well-reputable's or a well-reputable charter captain's Instagram, and I go back 1 year to the date, and I see what type of fish they were catching, and I try and get as much information from their Instagram about how I can be successful out there on the water. So the 3 apps that I use for catching more fish: number 1, Google Maps; number 2, Navionics. Navionics I think is $5. I don't think there's a free version for it, but Navionics, especially if you don't have a boat, and you don't have the electronics that a boat, has, like a depth finder, Navionics, it shows you the different depth changes and everything. So I'm showing you guys what Navionics looks like on your phone, on your app. So that's an app that y'all have to have if you don't already have it. Number 3 app that I use is FishWeather. FishWeather gives you the winds. FishWeather is free. Use FishWeather, the winds, and knowing the wind direction and the wind speed, it's going to help you. So that's the other app that I use. Thank you. You're welcome. Have a strategy, have a plan. So let's say I'm going to Myrtle Beach next week, which I'm not, but I wish that I was. And I'm going there and I only have 1 day to fish, which that's the common case for Kristi and I when we do our little trips for 1 fish, 2 fish, and we have to be successful on just 1 day of fishing. So for that 5 days prior, I'm going to develop my strategy. I have pinpointed spots on my Google Earth. I have talked to the tackle shop when I got there, and my fishing trip already is becoming that much more successful. I'm feeling more confident, and confidence correlates to catching more fish. But most importantly, I have a strategy and I have a plan. If you do have a plan, you're gonna catch exponentially more fish. Let me show you guys real quick. Actually, I brought this up here. So when I go to, so this right here is an example of my tackle. And this is like $200 to $300 a tackle in here. And then this is my bag that I carry onto the boat or when I'm wade fishing. So before I go to a fishing trip, I will take out what I think I need in here, and I'm gonna put it inside of something just like this and put it into my bag. And that's it. That's why I'm a firm believer that if you're a wade fisherman or a shore bank fisherman, you don't have a boat, a lot of times you're gonna be more successful than people who do have a boat, simply because you have a plan, or should have a plan, and you're forced to execute against that plan consistently with discipline, as opposed to someone who has a boat and they're just zipping all around. Have a log. Have some sort of tracking device. I use my phone, I use my notes. Sometimes Kristi and I, we go fishing with a charter captain who's 2 or 3 times older than us, and they have a ratty-tatty old notebook, and they're sitting down every time we catch a fish, and they mark down and they make notes. Y'all, that is huge. Let's say you catch a fish. Say you catch a drum. Where'd you catch it? What time of year? What was the date? What was the water temperature? What was the weather conditions? What was the weather pattern? Was it after a rainstorm, before a rainstorm, after a hurricane, before a hurricane? What was the water temp? Any small thing, like what was the bait you were using, was the retrieve style. You don't have to go too crazy in depth with it, but the more information that you can have, that's gonna make you that much more successful each and every time that you go out there on the water. If you catch a drum on a certain tide, certain retrieve style, certain lure, certain conditions, chances are you can go back and you can duplicate that bite under similar conditions, whether it's a week later or a year later. Those are things that are going to be invaluable for y'all for catching more fish and being successful out there on the water. Anyways, those are tangible tips for just how to catch more fish, how to be more successful. Hopefully y'all watch this channel more. Hopefully that'll make y'all more successful too. Kristi and I, we're gonna keep churning out a bunch of videos for you guys. If y'all have any suggestions on some videos, we love to hear it, love to hear the suggestions, and love to hear the feedback too. So thanks you guys for watching. Now get up off your butt and go catch some fish. All right, y'all, peace out.